Yo, what is up, YouTube? I hope you guys are doing wonderful today. Today, I'm bringing you guys the build video that you guys were asking for. I'm going to be doing it a little bit different because I want you guys to be like able to critically think and to kind of put yourself in a spot where you're almost always able to build. If like you hear like how good these items are, you can think of like when to build them, like how many times they're good, when they're good. So basically, this is going to be the tier list: always good all the way down to never good. When these items are placed in always good, it means literally any game you can build it and it'll be fine. I mean, obviously there's some rare cases where if you're playing against 5 physicals, why are you going to want to build like I don't know, shoguns or something like that? But as long as it's like a pretty normal comp, like 2 physical, 3 magical, 3 magic, or 3 physical, 2 magical, as long as it's something like that, these items are always going to be good. Usually good means most games are good. Some games they might be not great, but they're at least meh in those games. And then sometimes good means check to make sure that it makes sense, kind of like they have like no auto attackers. Witchblade is sometimes good, but if they have no auto attackers, it's going to be pretty bad in a game like that. Rarely good means rarely are you going to want to buy it. Sometimes it might have like an edge case where maybe you have 4 magicals, 3 magicals, and you want a void stone or something like that. And then never good means never build it in support. I've tried it and I think it's bad. I don't think any of these items are going to be in never good unless I forgot about one, but these are all items that I've used at least somewhat recently, and I think they're worth to put on the list. This is the rest of the items. There's some items on here that are still tank items, tyrannical, and you can build it, but I think it's just never good and it's just a waste of gold. Glad, same thing. There's probably a couple other on here that I can't see, but for the most part, that is going to be it. Forgot about regrowth. Hopefully there's nothing else I forgot. I think the rest are good. If I'm missing one, just let me know in the comments if you're curious about it. I can tell you what I think. All right, let's just jump right into it. Blackthorn. Blackthorn is more of an assassin / warrior item on somebody that's aggressive and needs cooldown early. I think Serket uses it pretty well. Fenrir uses it pretty well. Some warriors might not use it too bad, but I think they usually are better off with Thebes. I think it's rarely good. I usually just think there's better options, but it's not like a terrible item to go in most games. Breastplate, another rarely good item. You usually don't have a problem building cooldown because your cooldown item is Pridwin. So you're almost always going to be having at least 20%. You're basically choosing between these items because you're going to have 10% from a pot if you get to that point. And then usually you're going to have at least one other cooldown item somewhere. So that's why I think Breastplate is just rarely good. It's usually just not worth the cost, worth it, because it's literally just a cooldown item, which is what this is. But this also has a passive. Bulwark. Bulwark is always good. Some games it might not be great, but in every single game you can build a Bulwark and be like, I built well. This is a good item to be building. 4 physicals, if they have even 1 magical, Bulwark can be your 1 magical item, and you're feeling good because you're feeling very, very tanky. Maybe if you have a lot of auto attackers on your team and they have like only 1 magical, maybe you want the shoguns. Maybe they have a lot of magical damage and you want a heart word instead, but Bulwark is always good. There might be sometimes there's better options, but it's always good. I think Cat Shield is maybe never good as now we'll put it in never good. If you're a physical support, rarely is Cat Shield gonna be feeling better than any other item. Very, very rarely. I just think it's not an item you should be building in support, really. If you're playing a healing support like Guan, it's an expensive item that doesn't give you great stats. It's basically just its passive. So I think even then I probably wouldn't build it. I would just probably keep it in never good. Contagion, sometimes good. It's actually got very good stats. It's inexpensive, so it's good to build in support. And it's an anti-heal item that, you know, your teammates aren't going to be building anti-heal, and they're going to have a Hell, Afro, Sylvanas, Cupid on their team, and your teammates are still going to be walking around with 0% anti-heal, and you're going to be like, please, can we get an Onk so we can do that? And then nobody builds the Onk, and you're like, well, it looks like I got to build the Onk, and we have no other anti-heal outside of the Onk, so like, I guess I got to go Contagion also. So yeah, basically it's just, the anti-heal is good. It's not great, but it's... How can building anti-heal ever be bad? Sometimes good is just the perfect spot for Contagion. Sometimes there's better items. A lot of the time there's not great or like that much better items, but usually you can build a Contagion in a lot of games and be like, I felt good there. Emperor's rarely good. It's like teetering between never and rarely good. I just think the item isn't worth when you look at the items around it in its like cost and like what it's supposed to do. It's a physical defense item that gives you health and prots, and then the passive will ignore. Contagion, physical defense item, gives health and prots. Same with Midgard, same with Sov, same with Spectral. There's usually just better items. Usually you're getting more from the anti-heal. Usually you're getting more from the Sov. Usually you're getting more from the Midgard. Same with the Witchblade, the Spectral. And that's kind of the problem. The aura or the passive from Emperors is just not as good as what you can usually get. So I'm going to put it in rarely good. Sometimes maybe it feels very good and it's a perfect spot for it. you're just dominating them and you feel like if you can get something to tank Phoenixes, then you're going to win the game. That's the spot. Ethereal Staff, also a rarely good item. It's just expensive. Building in support, it's expensive to build into for a power health item. It's not getting you a ton of survivability. It's giving you a little bit of CCR, a little bit of health, and then it's giving you that steal health mechanic. But usually you're just going to get more value from different items. I don't think it's ever bad, but I think it's rarely a good item to get, and rarely the best item you can get in a spot. I feel like I don't have to talk about Thebes too much, but it basically just gives you everything you want. You can build it first, you can build it second, you can build it third, and you're gonna get value from it. Even fourth and fifth, if you're pushing, you can get it stacked pretty easily. Thebes is very good. Always a good item to go. Nemean is sometimes good. The problem is those stacks feel like they just diminish very quickly. A little thing that I think is cool is Thebes and Nemean together gives you 2 stacks instantly. Instantly gives you 2 stacks, but it still feels like you're just going to be taking those stacks and they're just going to disappear immediately. So you're just getting kind of a high prod item with some MP5. I think it sometimes feels good. Sometimes there's value in it. Sometimes it feels like you actually have a good passive. I think it pairs well with an Athena, but I think, like I said, usually there's just slightly better items. I've built Urchin rarely in support, and it just never feels like Urchin felt good here. I just don't build it. Just build Thebes. Just a better item. It's an aura for your team. The Urchin passive is good, but it's hard to stack, a lot harder than Thebes. So Urchin is not bad in solo, but in support it's pretty bad. Heartward. I think Heartward is another item. As long as they have some form of magical defense, it's always good. I mean, it's magical damage. It's an always good item to build. Where you build it can vary. It can go first if they have 4 magicals on your side of the map. It can go third, probably at the latest, if you have like if they have triple guardian or double guardian or something like that. Solo guardian, support guardian, and then a mid mage. So I think it has value even third, but beyond third, you're probably just gonna get better value from like a bulwark or a shogun's. Jade's another rarely good item. It just, the stats are just not there. Usually you're gonna have better items to build. However, if they have 4 physicals, Sov into Jades, it's gonna feel very good. Low nose. Sometimes good. Sometimes it's just the exact tank item you need in a spot as an assassin. Also, I think a lot of mages build it pretty well right now too. Usually you want to build it towards the middle to the end of the build because you want to abuse kind of assassin base damage and you want to stack a Thebes or get a different item on support. But I think most games it's just a pretty good item to go. Or sometimes, not most. Most games, it's a sometimes good item to go. Lotus, if you are a healer, this is the best item you can buy. Point blank period. Still, if you're playing like health support, Afro support, just build the Lotus Crown. It is better than any other item. Even with the nerf coming up where it's going to be 2150 gold, build it. Magi's, usually good. Rarely is the item bad if they have like a Bellona who can just 3 you and steal it. Don't build it against her. If they have a Nox who can just walk up and 2 you and take it, don't build it. But if they don't have a good way to pull the bubble off of you, it's a very good item. And it's usually a good item to go. It's also got decent stats and it's very cheap. It's giving you a lot of health, meh prots, and then a very, very good passive. Mail Renewal. Kind of the same spot as Thebes. If you build one, building the other can be good sometimes, but usually you're better off going into another aura item because they're both doing the same thing where it's just one item that gives you health, both prots, and you're just good with that as a first item. However, some games, these two together will feel good. You feel like you don't need another aura item from Sov, another aura from like a Shogun's, Wingblade survivability, Bulwark for burst. Sometimes these items together can feel very good. This is a first, second, third, sometimes fourth, fifth if they have no anti-heal, but it feels a little bit better earlier. And then late game, if they have anti-heal, it starts to feel bad. If they don't have anti-heal, it'll continue feeling good. Mantle, always good. Even if they have 5 like this one's even above like these items. Like this item is actually always good to go in support. Actually always. You will never feel bad building this item in support. Always good as our top tier, so we'll put it at the top tier. Midgard, never good. I think it's too expensive in support. If you want the attack speed item, I'm gonna just place Witchblade at the same time. Witchblade just feels a lot better. It's basically the same item, but with cooldown, and it's cheaper. So just build Witchblade if you're planning on building Midgard. Wherever you're planning on building the Midgard, build the Witchblade. And Witchblade is rarely good because I don't think 20%, is it 20 or 25? Whatever it is very effective. In the early game, it can be pretty good. So if you're playing against like 3-4 physicals, you can go like Witchblade Thebes or Thebes Witchblade, and it actually feels pretty good. But beyond that, it doesn't feel very good at all late game. Okay, because this item was so broken, I'm putting it in rarely good. It's not a support item whatsoever, but the stats and just like the passive on it were so broken, and it was actually not that expensive that it was insane to go. Like you saw me go in the SPL set and it was stomping. But I still think sometimes there are better options. Actually, a lot of the times there's better options, but I can't put it in never good because I've built it and it felt good. So Onis, never good. If you're planning on building Onis, just build Bulwark or Genjis instead. Where's Genjis? Build Bulwark or Genjis instead. And we'll push Genjis down. Put Genjis down now. We're going to put Genjis in always good. As long as they have at least one magical. Because if they have one magical, they're proccing that. And they're going to instant reset your cooldown. So, or not instant reset, but lower your cooldowns by a lot. So yeah, as long as they have one magical, Genji's going to feel fine. Pesty's the same thing as Contagion. If your teammate's not building anti-heal and you need an anti-heal item, it's going to feel good. There's no anti-heal on the board. Why are you building it? Build a different item. If it's in between where your team has a little bit of anti-heal, they have a little bit of healing, and you're like, meh, is it good here? Maybe Bulwark feels better. Maybe Heartward, Genji's. Like, there's a lot of good magical defense items. I'd put Pesty probably in sometimes good because I think there's usually just better options. But if you do need that anti-heal, it's going to feel good to go. Pridwin, always good. Even if they don't have magical damage or physical damage, build Pridwin. It gives you cooldown, it gives you prots, it gives you a shield for survivability, it gives you extra damage. Item is OP. Pythags. I'm going to put it right with E-Staff because it kind of has the same thing as E-Staff has. It has a little bit of survivability. It's obviously less than E-Staff is because E-Staff has the CCR and a little bit extra health, I think. I could be remembering wrong. Obviously, yell at me if I'm wrong. But it is cheaper. So it feels better to go than E-Staff because of its cost. And then the aura is actually helpful for your team. It allows you to pull objectives, allows you to fight on you easier. So I think it is rarely good because there's usually better options, but I still think sometimes it has value. And we're getting to a couple of the starters now. Boon, usually good. Embrace, always good. Actually, we'll do Embrace always good or usually good too, because if you're not playing around your team at all, Embrace is going to be terrible. It's only going to be giving you 40 prots, or I think it's 50 prots, and this one's giving you 40 prots. You're just going to be better off with the Boon. But both are still good. Shifters, never good. Build other items. It doesn't give what you want. It gives you a little bit of physical defense, and then a little bit of magical defense and physical defense when you're below. And then it's giving you no health, and it's pretty expensive. So it's just very rarely a good item. Shoguns, always good. Another item where even if they have all physical damage, if you have a good amount of auto attackers, the Shoguns is going to feel good. As long as you have one auto attacker, Shoguns is going to feel good. There might be better items, but at least it will always feel good. The one case where it would feel bad is if you have 5 mages on your team and they have 4 or 5 physicals on their team. Like it's not going to feel good then because it's giving you attack speed when a mage doesn't need it, and it's giving you magical defense when you don't need it against them. Other than that, rare case, it's always good. Sov, another always good item. If they have 1 physical god, Sov can be your perfect item. Gives you health, HP 5, prots, and it's inexpensive for a support. This is Spartan Flag. This is the one that gives you 10% power when you hit an ability. Never good. I think it is terrible. I think it is terrible. I tried it in a scrim where I built Bracer, and I built it to give you 10% and then 15%. And even then, it's like, why? This doesn't even feel good still. I think 10% is just a little low. I think higher should actually buff it to like 15% and see how it feels. But I think currently where it stands, not good. Spectral, sometimes good. Obviously, it's at the spot of if you have crit, if they have a lot of crit, or even 1 crit, good. If they have no crit, bad. Way better item. So I'm going to put in a sometimes good. Spirit's Robe, another always good item. They have all physical, all magical. Doesn't matter. You're still going to make use of the passive very, very well. Binding. Kind of fallen off the binding love train because I feel like there's just better items. I still don't think it's bad, but like I said, just better items. And that's why I'm going to put it in rarely good. Some games will feel good, but most games, I think there's just better items. Foul, I think it's differently than these two it's different than these two because you kind of need auto attacks to be able to proc it. If you're playing Geb, how many auto attacks you're going to be actually getting off in a fight. If you're playing Kabrakan, you're playing Sylvanas, Yamoja, you're going to get a fair amount of auto attacks off. It's going to feel pretty good. But it's in the spot of these two items where it's an item you go first. I do think Foul falls off a bit more because these ones are almost always feeling good. But in a late game, if you're getting engaged on and you're not able to get those auto attacks off, you're not making use of the passive at all. I think it is more of an early mid-game item. However, if you're playing Cab and you're looking to blink engage, Foul's going to feel good. Genji's sometimes good. If you need a health item that gives you survivability, Genji's going to be, Genji. Did I say Genji? Gaia. Stone of Gaia, not Genji. Stone of Gaia is going to feel good. Like I said, almost always, at least average. Sometimes it's good. About half the time, there's just better items to be going. Talisman of Energy, usually good. It's right there with Shoguns, but I think it's just slightly worse than Shoguns because you have to play around a wave. So I'm going to put in usually good. Sledge, same spot as Blackthorn almost. I think it's just a slightly better tank option for physicals because what's going to feel a little bit better as a support? CCR when you're not having beads or a little bit of cooldown. Usually Sledge is feeling a little bit better. Blackthorn's still not bad though. Void, they just nerfed it so many times that I don't even think I'd ever want to go this item. I think there's usually just better items you can go. So I'm going to throw it in never good. Void, we'll throw in sometimes good. The stats on it don't feel great, and usually there's just better options. If you got 4 magicals on your team and you need a little extra damage out of them or from yourself, it sometimes can be good. War Banner, usually good. If you're going War Flag, this is by far the better option. But if you're thinking about what starter you want to go, this one is just usually good. Sometimes you can't make great use of the passive. Sometimes other passives are better, i.e. Compassion, which is actually... I don't think Compassion is always good, because I think some gods don't use it well at all, but I'm going to throw it in usually good. Wingblade, always good. Slow immunity. There's some stat about like the last god that didn't have a slow, and it was like 3 years ago or something like that. There's nearly always a slow in a game. You can build it. Rarely good if you have a heal. Basically, it's just a Herc item. This is a Herc item. Let's be real. If you have Hercules, you can build it, and it'll feel good. If you're not playing Hercules and you build it, it's going to feel probably pretty bad. And Asclepius, another one. Rarely good. I just don't think its stats are what you want it to be. You kind of just want more tankiness than a little bit of extra healing. It's more of a mid solo item. Actually, I'd probably say even more of a solo item than a mid item, and it's not really a support item at all. But yeah, that is what the build at tier list is looking like. You can basically build these right now, and you'll be looking good every game. And then these two. You can make builds easily out of this. Like if you go Thebes into Sov, Shoguns, Spirit's Robe, Pridwin, like right there, you're good. You just got to find a starter item someplace else, which is any of these 4. Also, I didn't place Animosity because I just think it's fallen off a bit. Almost never good. Usually better options. If you guys got any questions, we'll do a true build guide probably next week. But I just want to get this little tier list out there because I think this makes it better for you guys to kind of learn about the items and when I think about building them and when I think they're good. And then after this week, you guys can kind of get that critical thinking done. And next week, I'll kind of give you like a much easier build guide for if you just want to focus on having fun and you don't really care about like the ins and outs of the game. But that is going to be the tier list guide build, tier list item guide, tier list item build guide. Yeah, we'll go with that one. Tier list item build guide for patch 8.10, but it goes into 8.11. Obviously, if items get nerfed super hard, buffed super hard, they might move up and down. But for now, this is what it's looking like. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. And if you guys liked the video, please like please thumbs up it, and make sure you're subbed and maybe comment if you have a question about anything. See ya.